Now on Good Morning El Paso.
The world was forever changed here. But today, the children of this city will go through their day in peace.
President Obama made his historic visit to Hiroshima today. So did he apologize for the actions taken by the U.S. 70 years ago?
New details this morning in the investigation into the Egypt air crash. What investigators say is leading them closer to discovering the data flight recorders.
And the Neon Desert Music Festival is back at the San Jacinto Plaza this weekend. What you need to know if you'll be traveling downtown. That's coming up in a live report.
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC7's Good Morning El Paso.
President Obama paid tribute to the 140,000 people who were killed 70 years ago when the U.S. dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima in the final days of World War II.
Obama stood alongside the Japanese Prime Minister during a historic visit to Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park. He's now the first sitting U.S. president to make the trip that his predecessors had avoided.
And we'll have more from his visit today coming up in just a bit. But first,
we want to wish you a very good morning, El Paso, Las Cruces, and Juarez. I'm Stephanie Valle.
And I'm Floren. Happy Friday, everyone. Let's get right to meteorologist Crystal Cly and talk about our forecast for today, the three-day weekend.
Looking pretty nice and warm.
It is. We're going to start warming up as we move into your three-day weekend. Today, we are still talking 80s in the afternoon, and this morning, take a look. These are some of your temperatures on your ABC7 Storm Track WeatherNet sites. I pulled up a different map than we saw just a bit ago. So you can see that we're right now sitting at 61 degrees, the Texas Tech Health Sciences School. Also at 61, St. Pius School. Mid-50s for us over into West El Paso here at the KVIA studios. And check out the War Eagles Air Museum all the way down to 49 degrees this morning. So some of us a little on the cooler side this morning than what we have been experiencing. Now, don't be fooled. Later in the day, we'll still be back to those mid-80s for high temperatures, and it should overall be a nice day for us moving forward, especially because we are dry and sunny again. No clouds out there to report on your clouds and radar map. We'll talk more about those winds and how high they gust today, coming up in a bit.
All right, thanks, Crystal. President Obama has paid his respects to the 140,000 people killed when the U.S. dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, Japan, 71 years ago. Here's ABC's Arlette Saenz with more.
It was a powerful moment 7 decades in the making. President Obama walking through Hiroshima, the first sitting American president to visit the city decimated by an atomic bomb during World War II.
71 years ago, on a bright, cloudless morning, death fell from the sky and the world was changed.
The president and Japan's Prime Minister Abe laid a wreath at the Hiroshima Peace Memorial, the only structure left standing after President Harry Truman authorized the world's first nuclear attack. President Obama offered no apology for the decision, but reflected on the deadly moment forever etched in history.
And force ourselves to imagine the moment the bomb fell. We force ourselves to feel the dread of children confused by what they see. We listen to a silent cry.
He called for a moral awakening as he made his case for ridding the world of nuclear weapons.
We must have the courage to escape the logic of fear and pursue a world without them.
The president shook hands with survivors of the blast that killed 140,000 people.
The world was forever changed here. But today, the children of this city will go through their day in peace.
President Obama is now heading back to the U.S. after his 5-day visit to Vietnam and Japan, both of those countries with which the U.S. has overcome a painful history to become allies. Arlette Saenz, ABC News, Hiroshima.
Developing now, the chief investigator in last week's deadly Egypt airplane crash says search teams in the Mediterranean have picked up a beacon believed to be from the aircraft. The lead investigator says this narrows down the search to a 3-mile radius, but he says that does not mean the flight data and cockpit voice recorders have been found.
There are a lot of events happening this Memorial Day weekend, including some that could impact how you get around town. We have Good Morning El Paso's Andrew J. Polk live downtown with those details. Andrew.
Good morning, Hillary and Stephanie. For downtown in particular, the Neon Desert Music Festival will be happening tomorrow and Sunday, and we'll be having a lot of closures for it. You can see here around me that setup is already going on. Looking down Oregon Street, you can see those pavilions and more being set up here in the early morning hours and going to be continuing to be closed throughout your weekend. So taking a look at the map, there's going to be Neon Desert Music Festival will be taking over Cleveland Square Park and San Jacinto Plaza, leading some closures around that plaza and downtown in general. In particular, Oregon will be closed from Franklin to Texas. Franklin Street will be closed from Santa Fe to Mesa, and then Main and Mills will be closed from Oregon to Mesa, basically encompassing 3 sides of the plaza closed for your weekend. Now, the festival gates will open at 3 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, and with the newly reopened San Jacinto Plaza included in this year's festival, the Parks and Recreation Department officials say they decided to place a permanent security guard at the plaza during operating hours between 7 a.m. and 1 a.m. The El Paso Police will also use bike patrols to check on the plaza. So back out here live today, you can see setup still happening. We've also seen some canine patrols in the area, seemingly sweeping everything going on. So this will be continuing throughout your weekend and more. But then coming up in the next half hour, we'll also be talking about more closures going on, because even after this festival, there will also be the streetcar closures. We'll have more of those details coming up in the next half hour. So for now, reporting live in downtown El Paso, Andrew J. Polk, ABC 7.
All right, Andrew, thank you. Happening today, the sentencing phase of the trial for Jan Michael Nieves. The jury found him guilty of manslaughter after he drove into a construction zone, killing 2 workers in 2014. The prosecution had accused him of driving drunk, and he was originally facing 2 counts of intoxicated manslaughter. But the jury found him guilty of the lesser charge of manslaughter. Nieves faces up to 40 years behind bars.
A month after his death, 29-year-old Jose Barraza was added to the list of 127 Border Patrol agents remembered in Northeast El Paso. The agency's National Museum was the site of the 92nd annual ceremony for those agents who died while on duty. The ceremony was part of the National Law Enforcement Memorial Month. There was a helicopter flyby to remember those fallen agents, and a riderless horse walked amongst the crowd.
It is now 6:07, time for weather and traffic on the 7s.
Meteorologist Crystal Cly standing by. Good morning.
Good morning, and let's start with our day planner for today so you can make those plans on your Friday. 67, 8 a.m. By noon, 75 degrees. And the forecast high today, 86. Very similar to what we saw yesterday. Yesterday we hit a high of 87 officially. We're also looking at winds, but here's the good news. Not high winds. Breezy starting at noon through your afternoon. Gusts right around 25 miles per hour, possibly a little higher along eastern mountain slopes, but overall these winds are going to be much better than what we've been experiencing, and as a result, I don't expect much, if any, blowing dust in our forecast. And speaking of those winds, here's the great news. We stay just in the breezy category through your weekend. Saturday, Sunday, even Monday, Memorial Day, gusts at 25 miles per hour, and then they just kind of slip from there. So we are talking winds, not a problem over the next week. We'll talk more about some slight chances of rain, though, in the forecast coming up in under 10 minutes.
All right, thanks, Crystal. Now let's take a live look at traffic right now. Nice and clear, I-10 and Schuster, both directions looking very good right now. We do have a traffic alert to pass along for next week. Beginning Monday, Franklin Avenue downtown will be completely shut down. This is between Stanton and Kansas for 2 weeks. This will affect everyone who uses that street to get onto I-10 East. So to get onto I-10, you'll now have to use Wyoming Avenue or Main to get onto Campbell and then get onto I-10. Steph?
Okay, thanks, Hillary. And we have much more to come here on Good Morning El Paso.
Donald Trump reached a major campaign milestone overnight. I'm ABC's Stephanie Ramos in Washington. The latest from the campaign trail coming up.
Plus, Allegiant Air is kicking off another destination to a popular tourist spot today. It's 6:09. This is ABC 7, where news comes first.